This video is not sponsored by Superlec Direct, but maybe it should be.
Hello and welcome back to Automotive Tales. On today's episode, we're back in the workshop in HQ 2.0, starting to put this place together. So the very first thing we're going to do is put some electrics in. It is cold today, so I've got my trusty beanie hat on. Right, so as you can see, we've got loads and loads of stuff for starting this garage build right the way through, from a new consumer unit. We've got lights, switches, the 16 amp stuff for the lifts, loads and loads of sockets, and all this white conduit. So in today's video, we're going to start to get all of that onto the wall at the back of HQ 2.0 so that we can have power for trickle charging cars, any power tools we need, etc, etc. First two bays obviously is going to be for storage, that's where the lifts are going to go, and then the third bay is actually going to be a proper workshop bay, which is why we've got this unit over here, which has got its own isolation system. It's got a 16 amp 3-pin square socket, and it's got one of these 16 amp round pin commercial sockets built into it as well. That's going to be for the little lift that we've already got in the old workshop, which needs to come across to here. So yeah, I'm in the very corner of the barn, miles away from the light, so I've got a little work lamp, which is why it's a little bit shadowy. So the idea of this corner is we're going to start with the ring main first of all. So I've got my first socket box on the wall. This is going to be one side of the bay, and then if you look over here, you can see the upright. That provides the other half of the end of the bay. There's going to be another set of sockets there, and then somewhere in the middle here, there's going to be 16 amp for running the lifts. So my first job is to get a series of these in, run them down the back wall for this bay, next bay, and workshop bay, and then also get the 16 amp socket feeds in for the lift in this and the next bay, and then the socket for the third bay, which is the workshop bay, all the way down there, is going to be in a slightly different place because that's the lift from the existing workshop HQ 1.0. So yeah, first job is to get the socket boxes all in place, then get the 16 amp feeds in place, and then start to run all of the conduit to run all the wires in. So we're using a single core 2.5mm wire to make a 32 amp ring main, and then a 16 amp feed as a spur from the fuse box for the lifts. So I've got like 16 socket boxes, 3 16 amp isolators and sockets to put on before I even think about lighting. So I've got a bit of work cut out for me, but it should all be worth at the end. It's going to be really nice. I like to have it all properly set up. Yeah, here goes. Time for some gratuitous time lapse. While we're talking electrics for HQ 2.0, you can see some fuse boxes on the wall behind me. So this is the power for a different bit of HQ, which I haven't shown you yet. I will in a second. And this is the fuse box for the garage. As you can see, this is a little past its best. So once we've wired the garage, we've got to start working our way back into this building, replace all of this, and then feed this back to the mains board. I have actually got 3-phase in the facility, but we're probably not going to bother using that because nothing we've got is running 3-phase. And if you're wondering what that is, we have solar panels. So at some point in the future, I want to do a project where I get a battery in here so we can save some of that solar energy and maybe use it for an electric car, which would be quite nice. Have a kind of off-grid transportation, maybe to offset, you know, some of the V8s we've got in the fleet. So I know the lighting is terrible, but you can see this is sort of what I'm working with. Anyway, we have got socket box either side. We've got our isolator, that's quite a mouthful to say, and our 16 amp output that's going to be for the lift. So the next thing to do is start to put the trunking, the conduit, whatever you want to call it, into here. So we're going to basically come up and across for the sockets, T-junction, come back down, and then I want to make something that's quite nice and neat to go around these beautiful curved bricks that we've got here in the garage. And then, yeah, run that along to the next bay. You might also have spotted these hanging here. There's a big stack of straps that go on this roof plate. So this bit of wood runs all the way along the top of the brickwork here, and has got no straps on it, which is why you can see it's actually lifted slightly, which is a bit of a problem. So it should have these on, and should have had these on when it was put together. But I think it was put together such a long time ago, it probably wasn't even a thing. So that's another job I've got to do as well, is try and weave those in between all of the conduit for this lot. Right, let's cut some conduit. Well, that looks super easy on the time lapse. It's quite a fiddly job, but you can see we've got our 16 amp feed, we've got our isolator, and this is the height we're going to go to. We're going to follow that level of bricks along, come around here, and that leaves the next layer of bricks to use the centre of that brick to run the 32 amp ring main. Right, only about another 2 or 3 kilometres of this to go. Great. Getting somewhere. Obviously this is very saggy in the middle because I haven't got any clips on it yet, but we'll resolve that in a minute. But you can see how the ring main is going up and over. We've got our T-piece in there. You might spot there's a potential issue with the 16 amp feed for the lifts. We've got to get over this, so I've actually got some flexible conduit which will get us past that, and then we've got the fun bit of trying to get it neatly around these corner bricks. But yeah, it's slow going. But once the infrastructure is in, getting the wiring in should be quite easy, hopefully, he says, fingers crossed. So yeah, getting there slowly. That might be enough for today, because it's time for me to go out for curry. Woo! So I realised when I went to turn off my floor standing lamp that it was really very hot, and that's because it was running one of these lovely old, like filament bulbs, I don't know what the proper term for these is, and it was too hot to even touch. So that is burning, that's a 400 watt bulb. So that's going in the bin. It just exploded on the floor. Excellent. And I've got an LED light bulb in here, which means I can actually touch this and not, like, you know, take the skin off my hands. Right, curry had. Let's finish this off. Okay, so we've finished off this run of cabling here. I've even managed to get the first bit up and around this sort of centre pillar. Next thing to do is start feeding some cable. So, made myself this little thing for holding the cable reels so they'll just spin away. I'm going to start by, well, I'm actually going to start here with the sockets. Feeding cable in, up and across for the first bit of the ring main. So obviously each socket is connected to the next, and then there'll be a single wire going from the end of the ring all the way back. So I'll do that one last, because that's going to be one massive long piece of wire. And I'd like to have it a single piece that goes all the way down into the fuse box. It's going to be over here. First set of cables for the ring main is in. That was a lot trickier than I thought it was going to be. So I've got some 1mm cable I'm going to use for lighting. So I'm going to run one of those through to start pulling the cable through, because it's much easier to push a thinner wire through, attach everything I need to pull through and pull it back the other way. And then if I get this piece on up here, then we can probably finish this whole section, aside having the other half of the ring main in. I'm wondering whether I might leave a set of this in and just keep pulling it through all the way along for the ring main, rather than trying to do it afterwards, because it's going to be a real pain in the proverbial. You've not fed that wire yet? So I've got some professional help who's identified a small problem. So I'm onto the second bay, which is where I'm stood now, and I've run the trunking around this support pillar for all the roof structure. And I've fed my loop from one set of sockets to the next, but not done the feed back for the ring main. And trying to get it through all the convoluted paths of the conduit is proving a little tricky. Okay, that's about all for this episode. There's only so much time lapse of me going up and down ladders that you can watch in one episode. But obviously, I've still a lot more to do running the electrics along this back wall and figuring out how I'm going to get those extra wires through that we were struggling with. But I've also had to build around. So a few things we need to do. This flooring down here, it's not actually level. It turns out there's a slight sort of lean on the floor. I guess a hangover from it being a barn to allow drainage out the front. So we've got to get that levelled to get it good for putting the lifts on. So we've had a spec from the lift company, Lift Giant. So we're going to get the floor raised slightly and levelled across the board and nice and smooth so I can paint it. And while the builder's here, he's also going to work on these brick pillars. So we're hoping to make the doors a little bit wider, maybe take sort of half a brick off each side, to give a bit better access, and then get rid of these up and over doors because these sort of will interfere with the lifts. So we've looked, we can actually raise the height of the entrance slightly, which is good because if we're bringing the floor level up, we'll get better access. So yeah, we're going to get new doors, new frames because we're going to have to change all of this slightly, finish the electrics, raise the floor, and then hopefully the lift should be going in. It's probably going to be January now at this rate. So this is going to be a slow and steady build, but it is going to be an awesome little garage for HQ 2.0. So keep checking back on the channel. As little bits get done, I will update you. I'll probably do a little video once I've finished doing all the cabling, so you don't have to watch hours and hours of me running, trunking and passing cables through, because it's getting boring for me, let alone for you. So, but keep checking back to the channel and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.